Most people never become wealthy, not because they're unlucky, but because they're undisciplined. They chase quick wins. They spend before they earn. They dream, but they don't build. Wealth isn't magic. It's math. It's structure. It's self-control repeated daily until success has no choice but to appear. This audiobook isn't about money. It's about mastery. And until you master yourself, you will never master wealth. So if you're ready to stop being average, to stop leaking potential, and to finally think and grow disciplined, then listen carefully. Your new life starts here. Chapter 1. Stop wanting wealth, start training for it. You say you want wealth, but wanting isn't working. Desire without structure is self-torture. You sit there, scrolling, dreaming, wishing, watching others live the life you think you deserve. But here's the truth. Wanting wealth is the easiest part of the game. Everyone wants it. Few train for it. The gap between wanting and having is not luck. It's not education. It's not timing. It's discipline. Wealth doesn't answer to desire. Wealth answers to structure, to systems, to consistency. You think you need more motivation. You don't. You need more repetition. You don't rise to your dreams. You fall to your training. The wealthy don't chase excitement. They build endurance. They understand that discipline is a muscle. And like every muscle, it grows with stress, resistance, and time. Every act of control, every delayed decision, every ignored impulse, that's training. And the undisciplined, they want results without the reps. You have a choice. Every morning, every moment. To live by emotion or to live by structure. You want wealth? Then build a routine that outworks your feelings. Train your time. Train your mind. Train your habits until wealth has no choice but to find you. Because this is what they don't tell you. The successful aren't necessarily smarter than you. They're simply trained longer than you. They've built systems that carry them when motivation fades. They've learned to execute when it's boring. They've trained their emotions to obey their goals. You have to stop fantasizing about wealth and start practicing wealth. You don't get rich. You get trained. Picture an athlete. Every morning, they wake up before the world. They don't ask if they feel like running. They don't negotiate with comfort. They follow the plan. Why? Because they know the game is won in repetition, not excitement. They're not chasing a feeling. They're building endurance. That's how wealth is built. It's mental conditioning. You don't need new inspiration. You need new standards. You don't need another video. You need another rep. Every day is practice. Every choice is a set. Every dollar saved. Every impulse resisted, every minute focused. It's training. Say it with me. I'm in training. Not for comfort. Not for applause. For mastery. Most people think they're chasing money. But what they're really chasing is freedom from inconsistency. You can't have freedom without order. You can't have order without training. You train your body to move. You train your mind to focus. You train your emotions to wait. Because the moment you stop training, you start decaying. Motivation fades. Excuses multiply. And you start thinking that wanting is enough. It's not. Desire is useless without a plan. A dream without discipline is just emotional entertainment. You don't need another rush of motivation. You need a routine that demands excellence. Let's be honest. Most people never get rich because they never stick to anything long enough to get results. They change their goals like they change their playlists. They start strong, then stop at the first inconvenience. They want immediate feedback, immediate praise, immediate reward. But wealth doesn't respond to impatience. Wealth is built in the long silence between effort and evidence. That's the key. That's where training lives, in the silence, in the boredom, in the repetition. Every successful person you admire, every one, has trained themselves to love what most people avoid. They've fallen in love with monotony, with structure, with the grind no one celebrates. Because here's the truth. The process that feels boring to the undisciplined feels peaceful to the trained. Structure doesn't trap you, it frees you. It frees you from emotional chaos. It frees you from inconsistency. It frees you from the endless loop of someday. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act anyway. Read that again. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act anyway. Every day you act without permission, you grow stronger. Every day you keep your word when no one's watching, you grow richer. Because real wealth is self-trust. It's knowing that your future self can depend on your present self. You have to stop being emotional about progress. You're not supposed to feel good all the time. You're supposed to grow all the time. Growth hurts. Training hurts. But comfort kills discipline faster than failure ever will. You want to know the difference between dreamers and doers? Dreamers chase feelings. Doers chase standards. Dreamers get inspired. Doers get scheduled. It's not about passion. It's about pattern. You're not here to wish for wealth. You're here to prepare for it. Repeat that to yourself. I'm not waiting for wealth. I'm training for it, because training doesn't ask if you're tired. It asks if you're consistent. It asks if you're willing to do the small things, repeatedly, until they compound into something extraordinary. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need permission to improve. All you need is a daily standard, a plan you obey, a structure you protect. That's the foundation of wealth. Not luck, not timing, not talent. Discipline, structure, repetition. You have a choice. Keep wanting or start training. Because the clock is running either way. If you're not training your habits are training you. If you're not shaping your time is shaping you. If you're not controlling your attention, the world is renting it from you. Cheaply. It's time to decide. Stop fantasizing. Start organizing. Stop wishing. Start repeating. Stop wanting wealth. Start training for it, because when you train long enough, the game slows down. Decisions get easier. Emotions get quieter. And money stops being something you chase. It becomes something you command. You're not born disciplined. You build discipline. You don't find focus. You create it. You don't feel ready. You become ready through repetition. That's the mindset of the wealthy. They don't chase energy. They train execution. They don't chase intensity, and they train endurance. They don't chase motivation. They train momentum. So ask yourself, are you training or are you talking? Are you preparing or are you pretending? Because one leads to mastery. The other leads to mediocrity. You can't want your way to wealth. You can only train your way there, and that's your first test. To stop living by emotion and start living by design. To stop wishing for results and start respecting the routine. You wanted wealth. Now you're learning to earn it. You've begun the training. And this is where discipline begins. Because you've mastered your desire. Now let's talk about the true cost of losing control. Chapter 2. The Law of Controlled Desire. Chapter 2. The Law of Controlled Desire. Desire is not your enemy. Uncontrolled desire is, because desire without discipline destroys direction. It makes you chase everything and master nothing. Desire is the fire. Discipline is the furnace. If you don't contain it, it burns you. If you direct it, it forges you. Most people think they fail because they don't have enough desire. That's not true. They fail because they never learned how to control their desire. They want everything. They want it fast. They want it easy. And in wanting everything, they lose everything. You have a choice. You can be driven by emotion or guided by structure. You can be consumed by passion or fueled by purpose. Desire is raw power. But power without control is destruction. Look around. Impulsive people are everywhere. They start big, talk loud, burn bright, then disappear. Why? Because emotion can ignite, but only discipline can sustain. You don't need bigger dreams. You need tighter control. You don't need to chase more opportunities. You need to stay committed to one path long enough to win. That's the key. Focus is control, and control is wealth. The wealthy aren't controlled by their emotion, what they command them. They don't chase dopamine. They direct it. They don't chase excitement. They channel it. They know how to tell their feelings. Not now. I'm working. Not today. I'm building. Not yet. I'm waiting for the right time. That's control. That's power. That's the difference between success and sabotage. You don't need to kill desire. You need to master it, because uncontrolled desire looks like greed, but controlled desire looks like growth. There's a law to it, the law of controlled desire. The more you can delay expression, the more you can multiply results. Energy saved is energy compounded. The mind that resists impulse becomes a magnet for wealth. You want to buy it now? Wait. You want to brag now? Wait. You want to quit now? Wait. Every time you wait, you grow stronger. Every time you hold back, you gain leverage. Because patience is not weakness. It's control under pressure. You have a choice. Every moment, every urge, every scroll, every swipe, a choice. Feed your impulse or fuel your future. Let me tell you a truth most won't accept. Wealth is not built by passion. It's built by patience. The rich don't act fast. They act right. They don't follow trends. They follow strategy. They don't move when they feel like it. They move when the math makes sense. That's the discipline of control. That's the law in motion. Let's talk real. You've probably told yourself, I deserve this. After a long day, after a little progress, after a hit of motivation, you reward yourself too early. That's how discipline dies. You train your brain to seek relief, not results. To celebrate effort, not excellence. To feel accomplished before you've accomplished anything, and then you wonder why you never move forward. Because every reward given too soon kills momentum. You have to rewire that. You must become the kind of person who earns pleasure, not escapes into it. Who uses reward as fuel, not as a drug. When you crave comfort, train control. When you crave validation, train silence. When you crave speed, train stillness. You don't need more permission. You don't need more praise. You need more patience. Because patience is where control lives, and control is the highest currency. Look at any master of any craft, investor, athlete, artist, entrepreneur, and you'll find the same pattern. They control their impulses better than anyone else. They don't chase every idea. They don't react to every noise. They don't need constant stimulation. They trust the process they built. They play long-term games with long-term people. They wait when others panic. They act when others freeze. That's controlled desire. Desire aimed like a laser, not scattered like fireworks. And here's the truth. You don't lose because you lack ambition. You lose because your ambition leaks through distraction. Focus is the dam that channels your power. Without it, your energy floods everywhere and builds nothing. Say it again. My focus is my wealth. My control is my leverage. Every minute you control compounds. Every urge you master multiplies. Every distraction you delete doubles your progress. That's not motivation, that's math. That's not a mindset, that's mechanics. You're not chasing hype. You're building habits. You have to decide what kind of builder you'll be. The impulsive dreamer who starts 100 projects and finishes none. Or the disciplined creator who masters one system until it pays forever. The undisciplined man wants everything today. The disciplined man is willing to train for decades. And because of that, the disciplined always win. You have a choice. To live by emotion or to lead with intention. To be ruled by craving or to command control. This is your training ground. Every craving you resist builds your control muscle. Every temptation you ignore builds your focus armor. Control isn't about denying yourself pleasure. It's about deciding when and why you experience it. That's real power, timing, because timing is everything. Desire at the wrong time destroys. Desire at the right time builds empires. You can't shortcut that law. You can't fake discipline. You either control your energy or your energy controls you. And when you finally learn that, when you finally stop chasing the high and start building the habit, you become untouchable. You move from being emotional to being intentional. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop spending to feel rich and start saving to become rich. That's the transformation. That's the switch. You go from victim to builder, from follower to leader, from desperate to deliberate. Repeat this to yourself. I don't need to want more. I need to manage what I already have. That's the mantra of wealth. You already have energy. Focus it. You already have time. Guard it. You already have opportunity. Multiply it through discipline. Stop saying you need more. Start saying you need control. Because desire is infinite, but focus is finite. And you can't grow what you can't control. This is the law of controlled desire. Control your energy, and you control your outcome. Control your impulses, and you control your future. Control your focus, and wealth becomes inevitable. You have a choice, always. Desire can destroy you, or it can define you. It can scatter you, or it can sharpen you. The difference is control, and when you master control, something powerful happens. You stop chasing wealth, and wealth starts chasing you. You've learned to manage the fire. Now it's time to deal with the smoke, the hidden silent cost of losing control. Chapter 3. The hidden tax of impulse feels good now. But it always costs later. Every impulse is a tax, invisible, silent, and deadly. It doesn't show up on your bank statement. It shows up in your future. The undisciplined don't see it. They think impulse is harmless. It's just one purchase. It's just one break. It's just one day off. But impulse is never just once. It's a pattern. And patterns become prisons. Every time you give in to impulse, you pay. With time, focus, progress, and power. You lose momentum. You lose clarity. You lose control. Impulse is not a mistake. It's a habit. And habits are expensive. You have to understand this. There is no such thing as a neutral action. Every choice compounds, forward or backward. Every click, every scroll, every delay, it adds up. Impulse is the tax on your future wealth. It drains what you haven't even earned yet. It steals opportunity before it arrives. That's why the broke stay broke. They overpay an impulse every single day. Not just with money, but with energy, with attention. With time, you can't see it, but it's there. The silent cost of every moment you give to distraction, emotion, or temporary pleasure. You have a choice. You can be taxed by your impulses, or you can invest through your discipline. Discipline pays interest. Impulse pays debt. You can't serve both. Think about it. You see something online. You buy it. 5 minutes of pleasure. 5 months of payments. That's impulse tax. You feel tired. You skip your work. 10 minutes of comfort. 10 days of regret. That's impulse tax. You chase validation. You post to be seen. 10 seconds of attention. 10 hours of distraction. That's impulse tax. Impulse always sells you now at the expense of later. It makes you pay full price for temporary relief. And here's the trap. Impulse always feels urgent. It pretends to be a good idea. It convinces you that you'll fix it later. But later is always more expensive. You can't build wealth when you keep paying for your impulses. You can't build focus when your attention is on sale. You can't build freedom when every decision comes from emotion instead of intention. Impulse is the silent killer of your potential. It makes you feel alive while it drains your future. That's the truth most people never want to face. Impulse is disguised as joy, but it's really debt. Debt to your purpose. Debt to your plan. Debt to your future self. So you have to stop romanticizing spontaneity. You have to stop calling impulsive behavior living in the moment, because that's not living, that's leaking. Every time you obey impulse, you train yourself to avoid discipline. You train your brain to crave relief, not results. You train your emotions to lead instead of follow. You have a choice, to feed your impulses or to feed your goals. To build your future or to betray it. You think you need to control your spending? No. You need to control your state. Impulse doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your emotions. The moment you feel bored, you spend. The moment you feel anxious, you scroll. The moment you feel insecure, you post. Impulse is emotional management failure. That's the truth. Impulse is what happens when you refuse to sit with discomfort. Wealthy people master boredom. They train themselves to wait. They know that silence is productive. They understand that peace is profitable. You don't need to react to every feeling. You don't need to respond to every urge. You don't need to move every time your brain demands stimulation. The stronger your impulse control, the stronger your life control. You say you want wealth? Then stop paying the hidden tax. Stop losing compound growth to instant gratification. Stop letting emotion write checks your logic can't cash. Every impulsive choice is a withdrawal from your dream. Every disciplined act is a deposit into your future. That's the formula. You can't escape it. Impulse will always cost more than discipline ever will. Because discipline is an investment. Impulse is a loss disguised as pleasure. You think discipline hurts? Impulse hurts more, just later. It's the pain of lost progress. The pain of wasted time. The pain of unrealized potential. You pay once for discipline. You pay forever for impulse. Let that sink in. You can't afford to keep living on emotional credit. You can't afford to keep paying with regret. You can't afford to keep letting impulse steal compound time from your purpose. The disciplined person sees what others can't, the real cost of a small decision. They see the future price tag. They ask, what does this cost my focus? Before they say yes, they measure time like currency, because every distraction has interest. Every indulgence has a bill. Every just one time becomes a lifetime of delay. You don't lose years in one big mistake. You lose them one impulse at a time. One reaction, one distraction, one emotional decision. You have a choice. Either tax yourself with regret or invest in your routine. Either give in to comfort or commit to control. If you can control your impulses, you can control your outcomes. That's the law. That's the formula. That's the truth. The rich don't just control money, they control emotion. They don't just budget finances, they budget energy. They don't just save dollars, they save discipline. That's why they win. Because every impulse resisted today becomes a reward multiplied tomorrow. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. Aware that every decision has a hidden cost or a hidden gain. Aware that your attention is your most valuable currency. When you control your impulses, you build inner credit. When you obey them, you fall into inner debt. And eventually, that emotional debt shows up as financial debt, time debt, and peace debt. You can't live free when your impulses own you. You can't create order when your cravings control you. So from now on, every time you feel that rush, that urge to buy, to react, to prove, pause. Ask yourself, is this feeding my future or stealing from it? That's the test. That's the turning point. That's discipline in motion. Because the moment you pause, you regain power. The moment you delay, you reclaim control. The moment you say, not now, you break the pattern. And that single moment, that pause, compounds. It grows. It builds self-trust. It creates wealth in silence. Impulse screams. Discipline whispers. But it's the whisper that wins. You have a choice, again and again, to live in chaos or in control, to keep paying the tax of impulse, or to collect the interest of focus. The wealthy don't live without desire. They live above it. They see temptation, and they choose timing. They see opportunity, and they choose strategy. They don't react fast. They respond slow. Because they know patience compounds faster than impulse ever could. So here's your challenge. For 1 week, track your impulses. Every urge to buy, react, or escape, write it down. See how much it costs. See how much it steals. Then decide, do you want to keep paying that tax or do you want to live tax-free through discipline? The choice is always yours. Impulse costs. Discipline pays. And once you master that, you stop leaking energy and start building power. You've seen what happens when emotion controls your action. Now, it's time to learn how to create systems that free your mind completely. Chapter 4. Routine. The architecture of freedom. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want. They're wrong. Freedom isn't chaos. Freedom is control. Freedom is the result of structure. The truth is simple. The more disciplined your routine, the freer your life becomes. The more predictable your habits, the more powerful your results. Routine isn't a prison. Routine is the blueprint of peace. Routine is the architecture of freedom. Look at the most successful people you admire. They don't wing it. They don't rely on inspiration. They rely on systems. They live by design, not by default. They don't hope for good days. They create them. Every action has a place. Every minute has a purpose. Every habit builds momentum. You have a choice, to be structured or scattered, to be consistent or chaotic, to live in control or to live in reaction. Because make no mistake, you already have a routine. The question is, does your routine serve you or sabotage you? If you wake up late, scroll endlessly, react emotionally, and end your day exhausted, that's still a routine. It just doesn't serve your future. Your life is built on repeated behavior. You can't escape it. You can only decide whether it works for you or against you. That's why the wealthy protect their routines like sacred ground. Because they understand. Routine is not restriction. It's reinforcement. Routine trains your brain to obey your vision. Routine removes decision fatigue. Routine creates rhythm. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer choices. You need a system that makes success automatic. You think the greats wake up wondering what to do? No, they already know. Because they've designed their days to produce progress, not confusion. Discipline is freedom because it eliminates the noise. You don't waste time deciding. You don't waste energy reacting. You just do. That's the key. When you build structure, you remove chaos. When you remove chaos, you create clarity. When you create clarity, you move faster. Routine is not about control for control's sake. It's about efficiency. It's about making your highest priorities automatic. Your routine should reflect your goals. If you want wealth, your day must mirror wealth-building behavior. If you want freedom, your habits must reflect ownership of time. Let's make it practical. Your morning is your foundation. Start it with order. Don't check your phone. Check your purpose. Don't react. Execute. Don't rush. Own the first hour, because how you start determines how you continue. A disciplined morning builds a disciplined day. A disciplined day builds a disciplined life. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your routine. That's why you must treat your habits like investments. Each repetition pays compound interest. Every time you follow your structure, your self-trust grows. You're not just managing time, you're training identity. Every time you keep your word to your schedule, you're saying, I am someone who follows through. That's freedom. Not external permission, internal control. You have a choice every day, to let the day use you or to use the day, to drift or to direct, to consume or to create. Freedom without structure is fantasy. Structure without freedom is slavery. But structure for freedom, that's mastery. You must learn to love predictability. You must learn to repeat excellence. You must learn to obey your plan even when it feels boring, because boredom is not failure. Boredom is the beginning of mastery. If you can stay consistent when the excitement fades, you become unstoppable. The world belongs to the consistent, not the chaotic. The one who wins is not the one who starts fast, but the one who stays steady. Routine gives you that power. It's the discipline that becomes destiny. The undisciplined live in emotional debt. Their days are random. Their energy is scattered. They're always busy, but never productive. They confuse motion with progress. The disciplined live differently. They move in rhythm. They operate with focus. They understand the value of predictability. Your routine is a mirror. It doesn't lie. It reflects your priorities, not your intentions. If your routine is built around distraction, don't expect progress. If it's built around purpose, don't be surprised when success compounds. That's the truth most people avoid. Freedom is not the absence of boundaries. Freedom is having the right ones. You don't need to feel like it. You need to do it anyway. Because repetition is the real secret weapon. Do it until it's not hard anymore. Do it until it's who you are. You have a choice. Every morning, you can repeat your excuses or you can repeat your standards. That's all discipline really is. Choosing standards over emotions. You're not tired. You're unstructured. You're not lost. You're undisciplined. You're not unlucky. You're inconsistent. It's not about motivation. It's about maintenance. Maintaining your focus. Maintaining your system. Maintaining your integrity. That's what routine gives you. Reliability. And reliability builds reputation. People trust you because you trust yourself. The real reward of structure isn't time management. It's peace. It's the calm that comes from knowing what to do and when to do it. It's the silence that replaces chaos. It's the freedom that comes from control. Say it with me. My habits are my wealth plan. My routine is my protection. My structure is my strength. That's not a slogan. That's a strategy. Because when your routine is right, everything else aligns. Your money, your mindset, your momentum, all flow from your structure. You can't build wealth in chaos. You can't create clarity in noise. You can't achieve freedom without form. So design your day like an architect designs a building, with intention, with precision, with purpose. Every block, every beam, every habit matters. Remove what doesn't belong. Strengthen what supports the foundation. Your life is the structure you build daily. If you want stability, pour discipline into the base. If you want height, reinforce the columns of consistency. If you want beauty, decorate with integrity. Routine is the silent builder of freedom. It doesn't scream. It doesn't boast. It just works. Quietly, relentlessly, daily. You have a choice. Live on reaction or live on design. Build a routine that supports your dream or live by someone else's, because those who lack structure always end up serving those who have it. That's the law. So starting today, rebuild your structure. Wake with purpose. Work with rhythm. Rest with intention. Repeat. Refine. reinforce. Because when your routine becomes sacred, success becomes inevitable. You've built the architecture. Now it's time to guard the gates. You've learned how to design freedom. Now you must protect it from distraction. Chapter 5. The discipline of saying, no, you're not drowning in lack of opportunity. You're drowning in distraction. You don't need more yes. You need fewer yes. Every time you say yes to something small, you say no to something great. That's the truth people don't want to face. They want to please everyone. They want to be liked, seen, included. But that need to please, that's what kills power. Wealth doesn't come from saying yes. It comes from saying no over and over again. You think discipline is about doing more. It's not. It's about cutting more, trimming the noise, removing the clutter, saying no to everything that doesn't serve your highest aim, because success is subtraction. Freedom is filtration. Power is protection. You have a choice. Say yes to everyone and belong to no one, not even yourself. Or say no to most things and finally belong to your mission. That's the discipline of saying no. Most people can't say it. They're terrified of rejection. But the truth is, every time you say yes when you should have said no, you reject yourself. You trade your vision for validation. You trade your focus for comfort. You trade your discipline for approval. And you can't build wealth on approval. You build wealth on boundaries. That's the key. Boundaries build freedom. Boundaries protect progress. If your time isn't guarded, it will be stolen. If your focus isn't defended, it will be diluted. If your priorities aren't protected, they will be replaced. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop letting distractions win. You don't need to find clarity. You need to stop saying yes to confusion. Say no to comfort. Say no to gossip. Say no to unnecessary meetings, endless scrolling, fake urgency, emotional people who drain you. Say no to the easy path, because it's the road to mediocrity. You have to become comfortable being disliked, because powerful people are not liked by everyone. They're respected by the right ones. You want to build wealth? Then you must learn to decline what doesn't multiply your value. You must filter everything through one question. Does this move me closer to my goal or pull me away from it? If it doesn't build your future, it doesn't deserve your attention. That's the rule. That's the standard. That's the discipline. It takes strength to say no, because saying no is not rejection, it's redirection. It's not closing doors, it's guarding your destiny. Every no is an act of focus. Every no is an investment in your energy. Every no is a declaration of who you are and what you stand for. Stop apologizing for it. Stop explaining your boundaries. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. Weak people over-explain. Strong people simply decide. You don't owe access to everyone. You don't owe energy to everyone. You don't owe time to anyone who doesn't respect it. Your yes should be rare. Your no should be sacred. That's the mindset of mastery. Because discipline isn't just about working hard, and it's about working right. You can be busy all day and still lose. You can grind endlessly and still fail. Because effort without focus is just noise. You want to know what separates the powerful from the average. They say no faster. They decide quicker. They protect their bandwidth like gold. The world will always test your boundaries. Distractions will always disguise themselves as opportunities. You'll get invitations, collaborations, ideas, and all shiny, all urgent. But the question remains, does it align? If it doesn't, the answer is no. No hesitation. No explanation. No guilt. Because every yes has a cost. It costs you energy, time, mental space, and those are your real currencies. That's why the rich and the disciplined are not accessible 24/7. They're focused. They're selective. They're unavailable for nonsense. Being always available is not kindness. It's weakness. Being always reachable is not humility. It's lack of direction. You have to train your mind to recognize what matters. You have to treat your time like money, your focus like oxygen. You can't breathe for everyone else and expect to survive. You can't spend energy on everything and expect to grow. That's the trap most people fall into. They confuse busyness with productivity. They confuse movement with momentum. But you're not here to be busy. You're here to be effective. You're not here to say yes to noise. You're here to say yes to mastery. That's the difference between exhaustion and elevation. The undisciplined say yes to everything and burn out. The disciplined say no to most things and rise up. You want to win? Then stop negotiating your boundaries. Say no to gossip. Say no to distraction. Say no to comfort. Say no to shortcuts. Say no to anything that trades long-term strength for short-term satisfaction. Because you can't have both, freedom and addiction to approval. You can't serve two masters, discipline and distraction. You have to choose. Every day, with every yes or no. You don't need to prove yourself by doing more. You prove yourself by protecting more. You don't need to accept every invitation. You don't need to explain every absence. You don't need to justify your focus. The ones who understand discipline will respect your no. The ones who don't were never on your team to begin with. Let that sink in. Every no filters the wrong people out. Every no brings you closer to your purpose. Say no with strength. Say no with conviction. Say no without fear. Because every time you say no, your yes gains value. Your time becomes rare. Your energy becomes precious. Your presence becomes powerful. The discipline of saying no is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's not about rejection. It's about protection. It's about knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. And once you master that, you master your life. Because wealth, peace, and power, they all live behind boundaries. You have a choice: to keep pleasing everyone and lose yourself, or to protect yourself and finally start winning. Choose the second. Choose focus. Choose peace. Choose the discipline of no. That's how you protect your purpose. That's how you protect your wealth. That's how you protect your freedom. You've learned to guard your attention. Now it's time to master your emotion, the fuel that drives every choice you make. Chapter 6. Emotional Control. The currency of power. You can't lead if you can't control yourself. You can't build wealth if your emotions run your day. You can't win the long game if every setback breaks your focus. Emotional control. That's the real currency of power. Not money, not status, not even knowledge, because knowledge without control turns to chaos. Discipline without calm turns to burnout. Ambition without patience turns to destruction. You've seen it. People with potential who explode under pressure. Talented people who let anger, jealousy, or fear sabotage everything they built. They had skill. They had drive. But they lacked control. And without control, you lose everything. You have a choice. Be the master of your emotions, or be enslaved by them. Be grounded or be reactive. Be steady or be tossed by every wave. That's the key. That's the separation between amateurs and professionals, between broke and wealthy, between chaos and control. Emotional discipline is not about ignoring your feelings. It's about directing them. It's about recognizing emotion, then choosing your response consciously. It's about mastering yourself before you try to master the world, because no one can steal your peace unless you give them access. No situation can destroy your focus unless you let it. You don't control the storm. You control your response to it. That's leadership. That's maturity. That's power. When you react emotionally, you lose leverage. When you stay composed, you keep control. In every argument, every deal, every challenge, the calm one wins. The one who can stay still while everyone else panics always wins. You've got to train that calm. You've got to build it like a muscle. Every day in every situation you choose. Do I react or do I respond? Do I explode or do I evaluate? Do I let emotion lead or do I let vision lead? Because emotional control isn't natural, it's trained. Just like strength, just like wealth, just like discipline. You practice it when someone disrespects you. You practice it when plans fail. You practice it when you feel overlooked, underpaid, or underestimated. That's when you prove who's in charge. Your emotions or your principles. Remember this, emotional weakness always costs more than financial loss. Because money can be regained, but when you lose your composure, you lose credibility. You lose clarity. You lose control, and when you lose control, you lose everything. It's not about pretending nothing affects you. It's about not letting it decide for you. You can feel anger, just don't act in anger. You can feel fear, just don't obey fear. You can feel frustration, just don't let it dictate your choices. You are allowed emotion. You are not allowed surrender, The wealthy, the strong, the disciplined, they feel everything, but they respond to nothing impulsively. They measure. They analyze. They move strategically. That's emotional control. The undisciplined chase feelings. The disciplined follow systems. When you operate on emotion, you're unpredictable. When you operate on discipline, you're unstoppable. You don't need to feel calm to be calm. You just need to act with clarity. You don't need to feel confident to behave with confidence. You just need to stick to your structure. That's emotional control. Action without chaos. You must learn to pause before you respond. That pause is your power. That silence between stimulus and response, that's where your future lives. Every time you pause, you weaken the emotion's grip. Every time you react slowly, you strengthen your command. You become the eye of the storm, centered, composed, unshakable. That's leadership. That's wealth. That's mastery. Let others panic. Let others rage. You stay calm. You stay strategic, because chaos serves those who can remain still. When the world loses its mind, composure becomes currency. That's why emotional control is rare, and why it's so valuable. Everyone wants to win, but few can stay steady long enough to get there. You have to train detachment. You have to learn to observe your feelings without worshiping them. You have to learn to respond from vision, not emotion. Say this to yourself. I control my state. I choose my response. I am not my emotion. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. Because emotions lie. They exaggerate. They distort reality. Anger says destroy it. Fear says avoid it. Jealousy says compare it. But discipline says analyze it. The disciplined man doesn't react. He recalibrates. He doesn't fight emotion. He channels it. He turns anger into focus. He turns fear into preparation. He turns pain into precision. That's mastery. You don't run from emotion. You redirect it. When someone criticizes you, breathe. Don't defend. When something fails, breathe. Don't collapse. When you're tempted, breathe. Don't obey. The world reacts instantly. You will respond intelligently. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you stand out in a world addicted to outrage and chaos. And that's why emotional control creates power. Because it's rare. And rarity is value. When you can't be provoked, you can't be manipulated. When you can't be manipulated, you can't be controlled. When you can't be controlled, you're free. Freedom begins in the mind. Control begins with emotion. The one who controls his mind controls his destiny. The one who controls his emotions controls his empire. You don't need to eliminate emotion. You need to elevate it. You need to make it serve your mission instead of sabotage it. You are the driver, not the passenger. You are the commander, not the victim. You are the creator, not the reactor. Say this again. I am calm under pressure. I am focused under fire. I am disciplined when others are desperate, because that's who you must become to win. Emotionally neutral, mentally sharp, relentlessly composed. When you learn to manage your emotion, you earn control of your time, your energy, your future. That's wealth no market can buy. You can lose money and rebuild it. But if you lose control, you lose direction. Emotional control keeps your momentum intact when everything else shakes. It's the foundation that holds your focus steady through chaos. So master it. Train it. Protect it. When people yell, you breathe. When chaos hits, you focus. When fear rises, you act with clarity, because that's what separates leaders from followers. The followers react. The leaders remain still, but not passive. Calm, but not weak. Patient, but not lazy. That's balance. That's power. That's mastery. You've learned to control your schedule. You've learned to protect your focus. Now you've learned to command your emotion. You've built the foundation of discipline. Next, it's time to weaponize it, to turn control into unstoppable consistency. Chapter 7. The power of relentless consistency. Everyone wants success. Few are willing to repeat the same actions long enough to earn it. Everyone talks about passion. No one talks about repetition, because repetition is boring. Repetition is silent. Repetition is invisible. But repetition is everything. You don't rise because you want to. You rise because you repeat. You don't win because you feel ready. You win because you show up. Consistency is not exciting, but it's undefeated. The ones who master consistency always outlast the ones who chase motivation. Because motivation fades, consistency stays. Consistency doesn't care about mood. Consistency doesn't ask, do I feel like it? It says, do it anyway. That's the power. That's the real edge. That's the reason disciplined people build empires while dreamers build excuses. You have a choice every single day. To do what's easy or to do what's necessary. To start again or to start over. To keep going or to restart from scratch again and again. The undisciplined live in cycles of starting over. The consistent live in cycles of growth. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. You don't need perfect days. You need repeat days, because progress is built in silence. One disciplined morning at a time. One consistent decision at a time. Every repetition rewires you. Every routine rebuilds you. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you're in control. That's the real wealth. Self-trust, because you can't build anything if you don't trust yourself to finish it. You can't lead anyone if you can't lead yourself through boredom. You can't grow if you quit every time it's inconvenient. Consistency is not talent. It's toughness. You're not losing because you're not smart enough. You're losing because you stopped too early. You quit at 40%. You rest when you should repeat. You reset instead of reinforce. And every reset kills momentum. Momentum is a fragile currency. Once broken, it's expensive to rebuild. That's why the greats guard it with obsession. They don't stop when it's hard. They don't stop when it's dull. They don't stop when they're tired. They stop only when it's done. That's relentless consistency. It's not glamorous. It's not inspiring. It's mechanical. It's predictable. It's boring. But that's why it works. The world is full of people who start strong. The graveyard of dreams is filled with people who quit at 80%. Consistency separates the finishers from the fantasizers. You want to change your life? Then build rituals, not resolutions. Build systems, not moods. You don't need to think bigger. You need to repeat longer. It's not about how high you can climb. It's about how long you can hold on. Because the longer you hold, the more everyone else falls off. That's the real game. You don't need to be first. You just need to be still standing. Let everyone else burn out. Let everyone else chase new tricks. You stay consistent. You stay grounded. Because the finish line always belongs to the ones who didn't stop running. Consistency is your compounding interest. It multiplies your progress quietly, invisibly, relentlessly. Do a little every day. And the small becomes unstoppable. Do it long enough, and the world calls it talent. That's how mastery is built. That's how wealth is built. That's how freedom is built. Not through bursts of passion, but through years of repetition. You have to make peace with repetition. You have to fall in love with routine. You have to worship the grind, because what you repeat, you become. And what you stop repeating, you lose. Repetition is identity training. Every day you show up, you tell your mind, I am consistent. I am disciplined. I am unstoppable. And your brain listens. Your body adapts. Your life aligns. That's the quiet transformation no one talks about. The change that comes from doing the same thing right for long enough. It's not sexy. It's not cinematic. It's not viral. It's victory. Repetition is your edge in a distracted world. While everyone else is chasing new trends, you're mastering old principles. While they chase dopamine, you chase discipline. While they chase validation, you chase results. That's the mindset that builds unshakable power. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be predictable. Predictable in effort. Predictable in execution. Predictable in focus. Because the world can't compete with someone who doesn't stop. When you're consistent, you make success inevitable. It may not come fast, but it comes certain. That's why the greats never rush. They don't panic when results take time. They trust the process because they trust themselves to keep showing up. Say this, I will not quit when I'm tired. I will quit when I'm done. I don't chase motivation. I create momentum. I don't need excitement. I need consistency because that's what the disciplined do. They outlast everyone who depends on emotion. You can't beat someone who doesn't stop. You can't intimidate someone who keeps going anyway. Consistency is invincible. You want to be unstoppable? Then stop stopping. Do it when it's fun. Do it when it's boring. Do it when it's hard. Do it when it hurts. Do it when no one claps, because consistency isn't about reward. It's about responsibility. You have a responsibility to your future, to your vision, to your potential. Every time you show up, you pay a small price toward greatness. Every time you skip, you collect interest on regret. Which side of that equation are you on? You have a choice. Every day, every moment, every decision. To repeat your discipline or to repeat your excuses. That's it. That's the dividing line. You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to be relentless. Show up, repeat, reinforce. That's how average people become exceptional. That's how the quiet ones become legends. You've learned focus. You've learned control. Now you understand consistency, the fuel of all transformation. Next, we'll take it deeper. Because consistency builds momentum, but momentum needs energy. And the purest energy comes from purpose. Chapter 8. Purpose over pleasure. You can't build an extraordinary life chasing ordinary pleasures. You can't build wealth chasing dopamine. You can't become disciplined while being addicted to distraction. Pleasure is easy. Purpose is earned. Pleasure is instant. Purpose is eternal, and that's the war you fight every single day. The war between comfort and calling. Every scroll, every snack, every hit of validation. That's pleasure calling you. Every plan, every goal, every step forward, that's purpose calling you, and one of them wins. Always. You have a choice, to feed your impulses or to feed your vision. To chase what feels good now or to build what lasts forever. That's the difference between mediocrity and mastery. Pleasure is cheap. Purpose is expensive. Pleasure gives you a hit. Purpose gives you a legacy. Pleasure gives you escape. Purpose gives you direction. You think you need more motivation? No, you need fewer distractions, because pleasure is the thief of progress. Every time you choose pleasure over purpose, you trade long-term power for short-term peace. You trade potential for comfort. You trade greatness for gratification, and the world loves keeping you addicted to that trade. Every app, every ad, every algorithm, they all exist to pull you away from yourself. They feed your impulses. They sell you ease. But what they don't sell is purpose, because purpose can't be bought. It's built. That's why discipline matters. Discipline is how you say no to pleasure and yes to progress. You don't have to stop wanting pleasure. You just have to prioritize purpose. You can't remove the temptation. You overcome it. Because pleasure is the test of your commitment. It asks, how badly do you want this? Do you want the goal, or just the feeling of chasing it? The undisciplined chase the feeling. The disciplined chase the outcome. You want to change your life? Then you must learn to delay gratification again and again until your brain understands that the real reward isn't now, it's next. It's not about resisting everything. It's about redirecting energy, turning desire into drive, turning craving into creation. The gym, the business, the craft, the study, those are your battlegrounds. Every time you show up, you're proving that purpose is stronger than pleasure. Every no to distraction is a yes to destiny. Every no to impulse is a yes to impact. That's how you separate yourself from the masses, by refusing the easy life, because the easy life always ends hard. The disciplined life always ends free. Pleasure is short. Pain is short. But purpose lasts forever. The undisciplined chase what feels good for 5 minutes and regret it for 5 years. The disciplined sacrifice for 5 years and enjoy it for 50. That's the trade. That's the price of greatness. The world will tell you to enjoy yourself. But what they really mean is distract yourself. They want you comfortable, compliant, consuming, not creating. You have to rebel against that. You have to rise above the noise. You have to make pleasure your servant, not your master. Because pleasure is not evil, but it must be earned. You can enjoy it when it doesn't control you. You can rest when you've built something worth resting for. Earn your peace. Don't escape into it. You think success is about grind, but it's really about alignment. Aligning every action to your highest purpose. Aligning every decision to your deepest vision. That's the difference between motion and meaning. Motion feels busy. Meaning feels alive. The world is full of motion. People always doing, scrolling, moving. But few live with meaning. Few live with discipline. Few live with purpose. You have to choose the harder path, the path of meaning. You have to stop running from discomfort because discomfort is where direction is born. Every purpose starts as pain. Every vision starts as frustration. Every breakthrough begins with resistance. But most people never get there because they quit at the first craving. They reach for comfort instead of clarity. They run from pressure instead of producing under it. But not you. Not anymore. You've seen where comfort leads. Nowhere. You've seen what chasing pleasure costs. Everything. You're done being controlled by impulse. You're done being owned by distraction. You're choosing the harder life now, the life of purpose, the life where every action has weight, the life where discipline becomes devotion. Because purpose is sacred, and you don't serve it part-time, you wake up for it. You bleed for it. You breathe for it. When you chase pleasure, your life shrinks to the size of your comfort zone. When you chase purpose, your life expands to the size of your potential. Pleasure asks, what feels good right now? Purpose asks, what matters 5 years from now? One gives you ease. The other gives you evolution. You can't serve both. You can't live for pleasure and expect the peace that comes from purpose. You can't live for the weekend and expect the wealth that comes from legacy. It's one or the other. You must choose. So stop letting pleasure dictate your direction. Stop letting the urge decide your action. Stop letting the world pull you off your path. Your focus is your fortress. Guard it. Your purpose is your compass. Follow it. You don't need to eliminate pleasure. You need to earn it. After the work, after the discipline, after the mission, because earned pleasure feels different. It satisfies deeper. It builds instead of breaking. That's the difference between escape and elevation. Say it with me. I don't chase pleasure. I create purpose. I don't escape pressure. I build under it. I don't serve my impulses, they serve me. That's strength. That's mastery. That's freedom. You have a choice. Every scroll, every decision, every reaction, it's a test. Purpose or pleasure, future or feeling, legacy or laziness. Choose purpose every single time. Because purpose is the only path that multiplies peace, power, and prosperity at once. You've learned to master consistency. You've learned to say no. Now you've learned to make your why stronger than your want. Next, it's time to connect these layers, to transform your discipline into identity. Because true freedom doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you become. Chapter 9, Identity. Becoming the person who deserves it. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. That's the truth most people never face. They chase results without changing identity. They want the reward but refuse the rebirth. But wealth doesn't belong to dreamers. It belongs to builders, to the ones who become the kind of person who can handle it. Discipline isn't just what you do. It's who you are when no one's watching. And that's where real transformation begins. Not in your goals, but in your identity. You can't act rich with a poor mindset. You can't look successful while thinking like a victim. You can't pretend discipline, because discipline always exposes the faker. Your identity drives your behavior, and your behavior reveals your identity. That's the loop. That's the system. If you see yourself as average, you'll act average. If you see yourself as unstoppable, you'll act unstoppable. Because your mind always fights to stay consistent with who you believe you are. You can't build wealth with an identity that rejects it. You can't hold power with a mindset that doubts it. That's why everything starts from within. Stop trying to act disciplined. Be disciplined. Stop saying, I'm trying. Say, this is who I am. Because when identity changes, effort disappears. The gym becomes normal. Saving becomes automatic. Focus becomes instinct. You don't need willpower when something is part of your DNA. You don't force it, you live it. You have to reprogram your self-image. You have to rewrite your inner dialogue. Because identity is a story, and you've been repeating the wrong one. You've been saying, I'm inconsistent. You've been saying, I always give up. You've been saying, I can't stay focused, and your brain obeyed that story. Because that's what brains do. They defend your beliefs, so change the script. Say, I am disciplined. Say, I am focused. Say, I am the kind of person who follows through. Say it again. Then prove it with one small action. Because every action you take either reinforces your old identity or builds your new one. Every time you follow through, you're voting for your new self. Every time you keep a promise, you're casting a ballot for the person you're becoming. Discipline isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more. You're not here to fake success. You're here to deserve it. You don't deserve wealth because you want it. You deserve it because you've built the mindset that can protect it. That's the difference between people who rise and people who relapse. One built character. The other built a facade. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards embodiment. It rewards the person who is what others only say they are. You want to stop procrastinating? Stop calling yourself a procrastinator. You want to stop quitting? Stop identifying as a quitter. Because language is the foundation of identity. Words become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. Behavior becomes results. Change the words. Change your world. Don't say, I'm trying to save. Say, I'm an investor. Don't say, I'm trying to stay focused. Say, I'm laser focused. Don't say, I'm trying to build discipline. Say, I am discipline. That's how you build alignment. When what you say, what you do, and what you believe become one. Because identity is the anchor of discipline. Motivation fades. Habits fluctuate. But identity stays. That's why some people don't quit. Not because they never feel tired, but because quitting doesn't match who they are anymore. They don't say, I can't give up. They say, that's not me. That's the level you must reach. Where doing the hard thing isn't a debate, it's automatic. Where excellence isn't effort, it's expectation. You are not your past. You are not your habits. You are not your mistakes. You are your standards, and your standards are built through discipline. You don't raise your life by wishing. You raise it by demanding more from yourself. Consistently, say it. I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who earns what I want. Repeat it until it's truth. Then repeat it again until it's instinct, because repetition creates identity. Identity creates destiny. The world will try to define you. Reject it. Society will try to label you. Rewrite it. Your past will try to remind you. Replace it. You are not who you were. You are who you decide to become. That's the key. That's the power. Discipline gives you proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds identity. You can't think your way into a new identity. You act your way there. Every small action, waking early, saving money, staying focused, is a brick in the foundation of your new self. Stack enough bricks and suddenly it's not effort anymore. It's identity. It's who you are. And once you become that person, everything changes. Wealth becomes natural. Focus becomes effortless. Success becomes normal because your actions will always match your standards. And your standards will always match your identity. You're not trying anymore. You're becoming. And that's the final stage of transformation. When discipline becomes personality, when people look at you and say, that's just how they are. But you know better. You built that version. You trained that version. You earned that version. That's the real freedom. Not the wealth itself, but knowing you deserve it. So stop asking, when will I have it? Start asking, who must I be to handle it? Because until your identity matches your vision, your life will stay stuck between desire and discipline. But once they align, once you become the person who deserves it, nothing can stop you. You don't chase success anymore. You attract it because success recognizes itself. You have built the habits. You have built the mindset. Now build the identity, own it, live it. Repeat it until it's permanent. You've mastered control, you've mastered focus, now you master yourself. Because wealth doesn't change you. It reveals you. And the disciplined version of you, the one you've been building brick by brick, is ready to be revealed. You've become the person who deserves it. Now, it's time to protect it. It's time to guard everything you've built. It's time to learn the final rule of wealth, defense. Chapter 10. Protect what you've built. You've fought too hard to lose it now. You've bled too long to let it slip away. You've built discipline, identity, and focus. Now you must protect it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Discipline is fragile. Momentum is sacred. And once you lose it, everything collapses faster than you think. You've built the habits. You've built the mindset. Now the battle changes. From building to guarding, you've learned to climb. Now you must learn to stay, because the higher you rise, the more distractions appear. The more you grow, the more the world will test your strength. The pressure never stops. It only changes shape. When you were broke, your enemy was laziness. When you become successful, your enemy becomes comfort. And comfort is more dangerous than failure. Comfort whispers. Comfort seduces. Comfort tells you, you've made it. Relax. But discipline doesn't relax. Discipline sharpens. Discipline stays hungry. You don't protect your progress by celebrating. You protect it by continuing to demand more from yourself, even when no one's watching. Because the moment you stop guarding your mind, the old habits start knocking. The moment you stop saying no, the distractions return disguised as opportunities. That's how most people lose everything, not through catastrophe, but through complacency. They stop sharpening their edge. They stop feeding the fire. They get soft. You've seen it happen. People build something great, then vanish into comfort. They forget the hunger that built them. They forget the pain that forged them. They let comfort win, and comfort always kills greatness. You can't let that happen. Not to you. Not after everything you've built. You protect your progress with discipline, the same way you built it. You protect it with structure, with awareness, with boundaries. Protect your time. Protect your focus. Protect your standards. Because what you tolerate, you become. The second you start tolerating mediocrity, you start losing momentum. The second you start excusing inconsistency, you start sliding backward. You protect what you've built by defending your standards, even when it's uncomfortable. People will call you obsessive. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're too intense. Good, you should change. Growth demands intensity. You're not supposed to fit in anymore. You've outgrown average. You've learned that freedom isn't the absence of discipline. It's the reward of it. You've learned that consistency is the real compounding interest. You've learned that discipline isn't punishment. It's protection. You protect what you've built by remembering what it cost you to build it. The nights you sacrificed. The comfort you gave up. The temptations you resisted. That wasn't luck. That was labor. That was structure. That was self-respect, and you can't forget that. Because the mind forgets fast. It craves ease. That's why you must stay vigilant. You must stay ruthless with your focus. Because every day, your environment is trying to pull you back to average. Every conversation, every ad, every temptation, they all whisper the same thing. Relax. Slow down. Take it easy. Don't listen. You didn't come this far to become soft. You didn't work this hard to start coasting. You didn't build discipline just to lose it in comfort. Remember this. It's not about reaching the top. It's about staying there. Wealth, freedom, focus. They all require defense. They all require renewal. You must constantly earn your peace. You must constantly protect your purpose. Because success doesn't maintain itself. Discipline does. And that's what separates the great from the average. Average people get results and stop. Great people get results and recommit. You protect what you've built by staying dangerous, by staying uncomfortable, by staying hungry. Don't aim to maintain. Aim to elevate. Aim to outgrow who you were yesterday, because stagnation is slow death. And comfort is the coffin. Keep sharpening. Keep learning. Keep training. You are not done. You're just beginning. Every victory is a test. Can you stay focused after you've won? Can you still execute when no one doubts you anymore? That's the final challenge. That's what mastery means. Discipline isn't proven when you're losing. Discipline is proven when you're winning. And you still don't stop. It's not about hunger anymore. It's about honor. The honor of protecting what you've built. The honor of maintaining your standard. The honor of living up to your potential every single day. So protect your habits. Protect your vision. Protect your peace. Don't let noise enter your mind. Don't let weak people drain your energy. Don't let small distractions steal your destiny. You built this life with precision. Now defend it with obsession. That's the rule. That's the discipline behind wealth. Not just building it, but protecting it. Protect your time. Protect your boundaries. Protect your standards. Because in the end, wealth isn't what you have. It's what you keep. And you only keep what you protect. You've come full circle. You've built from desire to discipline, from chaos to control, from wanting wealth to deserving it. Now the mission is clear. Maintain it. Guard it. Reinforce it daily. Say it out loud. I protect what I build. I defend my focus. I stay disciplined no matter what. That's your oath now. That's your code, because success isn't a destination and it's a standard. And discipline is how you maintain that standard for life. You've built the foundation. Now protect the fortress. Stay sharp. Stay structured. Stay sovereign, because the undisciplined build once and collapse. But the disciplined, they build, protect, and multiply, and that's who you are now. A protector of purpose, a defender of destiny, a builder of unbreakable wealth. You've done what few ever will. You've mastered yourself, and now wealth obeys you. This is where it all connects. Everything you've learned, every chapter, every challenge, every repetition, it all comes down to one truth. Wealth is not money. Wealth is mastery. You've learned to control your impulses. You've learned to say no to distraction. You've learned to delay gratification, to focus, to push through the noise. You've learned that motivation fades, but discipline remains. And now you know what the rich have always known, that true freedom is earned through consistency. That self-control is the highest currency, that you don't need luck. You need discipline repeated daily until it becomes instinct. Most people spend their lives chasing the reward. They want wealth without structure. They want success without sacrifice. They want to win without training. But you've chosen the harder road. You've trained your mind. You've built your habits. You've forged your identity. You've stopped waiting for opportunity. You've started creating it. That's the difference between the average and the unstoppable. The average wants results. The unstoppable wants responsibility. You've become that. You've earned that. Because discipline is not punishment. It's protection. It guards your focus. It defends your energy. It maintains your empire. And when you truly understand this, wealth stops being a dream. It becomes a byproduct. It becomes automatic. Because money follows mastery. Always. It follows the one who controls their emotions. It follows the one who executes relentlessly. It follows the one who deserves it. You don't chase anymore. You attract because you've built the foundation most people skip, the foundation of discipline. And now the world can't shake you. Temptation can't break you. Comfort can't stop you. You've trained like an athlete of discipline. You've built like an architect of freedom. You've evolved into a protector of your own greatness. So here's your final challenge. Starting today, no matter what happens, live by your code. Guard your time. Guard your thoughts. Guard your focus. Stop waiting for permission. Stop asking for validation. You already have everything you need because you've become everything you must. Say it. I don't chase motivation. I create consistency. I don't chase money. I build mastery. I don't chase success. I embody discipline. This is your new identity. This is your new standard. This is the discipline behind wealth. Voice lowers, calm but powerful. The world doesn't reward the talented. It rewards the disciplined. So walk forward with precision. Move with purpose. Act with control. Because the undisciplined will always serve the disciplined. And from this moment on, you are the disciplined. Now go earn what's already yours.